The Big Grey Man of Ben Macdui, known in Gaelic as Am Fear Liath Mòr, stands as one of Scotland's most enduring and unsettling mysteries. This enigmatic presence has haunted the highest peaks of the Cairngorm mountains for over a century, leaving experienced mountaineers shaken and scientists puzzled. Unlike many cryptids that fade into obscurity with modern scrutiny, the Big Grey Man continues to generate credible reports from seasoned climbers and outdoor enthusiasts who find themselves unable to rationally explain their terrifying encounters on Scotland's second highest mountain. The phenomenon represents a fascinating intersection of folklore, psychology, and unexplained experience that challenges our understanding of what might lurk in remote wilderness areas. The Big Grey Man story has been around for more than 100 years, with many reports of ghostly sightings and strange sounds resonating through the rough terrain of the Cairngorm mountains. Witnessing the Big Grey Man on the Scottish Peaks by Tita is an important article that talks about this event. It looks at how mountaineers who have seen this being have interpreted it. Tita uses old records, ethnographic research, and interviews to look into how the harsh environment of the Cairngorms affects these strange experiences. The author suggests that the landscape is a major factor in shaping the stories about encounters with the Big Grey Man. A lot of hikers and climbers have said that their experiences were worse because of the extreme weather, which can make people feel alone and scared, which can make them more aware of what they don't know. Witnesses who claim to have encountered the Big Grey Man describe a towering figure that appears suddenly through the mist and snow of Ben Macdui's summit plateau. The entity is typically described as standing between 10 and 20 feet tall, with a humanoid shape covered in short grey or brown hair. Most accounts emphasize an overwhelming sense of menace and dread that accompanies sightings, often more terrifying than the visual appearance itself. The figure is rarely seen clearly, instead manifesting as a massive shadowy form moving through fog or appearing as a dark silhouette against snow and rock. Some witnesses report glowing eyes or an indistinct face, while others describe only a looming presence that seems to radiate malevolence. The behavior associated with the Big Grey Man sets it apart from typical cryptid encounters and adds to its frightening reputation. Most commonly, climbers report hearing heavy, crunching footsteps following them across the mountain, with each footfall occurring after every 3 or 4 of their own steps, suggesting a creature of immense stride. These phantom footsteps often persist for extended periods, sometimes driving experienced mountaineers into a panic-stricken flight down the mountain despite dangerous conditions. Witnesses describe feeling watched by an unseen presence, experiencing sudden waves of inexplicable terror, and sensing an evil or malicious intelligence observing them. Unlike aggressive cryptids in other traditions, the Big Grey Man rarely pursues fleeing witnesses aggressively, but rather seems content to drive them from the mountain through psychological torment. The folklore surrounding the Big Grey Man gained widespread attention in 1925, when Professor Norman Colley, a respected scientist and experienced mountaineer, publicly recounted his 1891 encounter during a speech to the Cairngorm Club. Colley described hearing footsteps following him through the mist and being seized by such terror that he fled blindly down the mountain for miles. His testimony gave credibility to what had previously been whispered rumours among highland climbers and guides. Local folklore had long included stories of spectral presences in the Cairngorms, with Gaelic traditions speaking of spirits that guarded mountain peaks and punished those who showed disrespect to the wild places. The Am Fear Liath Mòr seemed to fit within this older tradition of mountain spirits, while taking on distinctly physical characteristics that separated it from purely supernatural entities. Throughout the 20th century, numerous credible witnesses added their experiences to the growing collection of Big Grey Man encounters. In 1943, naturalist Alexander Tunian reported not only seeing the figure, but shooting at it with a revolver, watching it vanish into the mist after his shots. Climber Wendy Wood described a powerful presence and the sound of large footsteps during a 1940s ascent, while experienced mountaineer Richard Frere wrote of his 1945 encounter, in which an enormous brown creature walked down a slope toward him. Peter Densham reported in 1965 hearing footsteps and experiencing overwhelming terror that drove him to run for his life, despite being an experienced outdoorsman. These accounts share remarkable consistency, despite coming from individuals with no connection to one another, suggesting either a genuine phenomenon or a common psychological response to the mountain environment. Scientific and rational theories have attempted to explain the big grey man phenomenon without resorting to supernatural or cryptozoological explanations. The Brocken spectre effect, in which a person's shadow is cast onto clouds or mist and appears gigantic and distorted, offers one possible explanation for visual sightings. Acoustic effects in mountain environments can cause sounds to echo and amplify in strange ways, potentially explaining the phantom footsteps reported by witnesses. Some researchers point to infrasound, low-frequency sound waves that can induce feelings of anxiety, dread, and the sense of a presence without conscious awareness of the sound itself. Sensory deprivation combined with altitude effects, exhaustion, and extreme weather conditions might contribute to hallucinations or misperceptions. These rational explanations provide plausible mechanisms for individual aspects of encounters, but struggle to account for the consistency of reports across decades and the specific nature of the experiences described. Alternative theories propose more extraordinary explanations for the big grey man phenomenon that venture into cryptozoology and paranormal speculation. Some researchers suggest the entity could be a relict population of an unknown primate species, perhaps related to Neanderthals or another hominin line that survived in isolated mountain refuges. Others draw connections to similar entities reported worldwide, including the Yeti of the Himalayas and Bigfoot of North America, suggesting a global phenomenon of elusive mountain-dwelling primates. Paranormal theories propose the big grey man might be a psychic projection, a thought form created by collective human fear and expectation that has taken on semi-autonomous existence. Some investigators consider the possibility of an interdimensional entity or even extraterrestrial presence, though these theories find little support in scientific circles. The survival of a large unknown primate in the relatively small and well-explored Scottish Highlands seems implausible to most zoologists, yet the consistency of reports continues to puzzle skeptics. Analysis of the big grey man phenomenon reveals patterns that illuminate both the nature of the reports and potential explanations for the experiences. The vast majority of encounters occur in conditions of poor visibility, with mist, snow, or darkness obscuring clear vision, and creating an environment where perception becomes unreliable. Nearly all witnesses report psychological effects that seem disproportionate to the actual visual or auditory stimuli, suggesting that environmental factors may be triggering acute anxiety responses that then colour perception and memory. The mountain environment of Ben Macdui features unique geological and meteorological characteristics, including unusual wind patterns and granite formations that might create specific acoustic and atmospheric conditions. Interestingly, reports have declined somewhat in recent decades as the mountain has seen increased tourist traffic, which might suggest the phenomenon requires solitude and isolation to manifest, or that social expectations and communication patterns have changed how people interpret unusual experiences. For many people, the grey man represents the conflict between the supernatural and the moral fabric of society. Several stories about the grey man stress this duality, with the character acting as both a warning and a guardian against evil. Scholars who study traditional stories in the Scottish context often find that these stories are inspired by moral lessons about being brave and helpful in hard times. Also, the grey man stories often take place in places that are only found in Scotland, which suggests that there is a strong connection between people and places. People tell stories about the grey man using the landscape as a backdrop, which strengthens the community's identity and traditional heritage. Local tales hold even greater significance due to their deep connection to the history and culture of the Scottish Highlands. The big grey man of Ben Macdui remains one of Scotland's most compelling mysteries, resistant to simple explanation, despite decades of investigation and speculation. Whether the product of environmental effects on human psychology, misidentification of natural phenomena, or something genuinely anomalous, the encounters described by credible witnesses demand serious consideration. The phenomenon serves as a reminder that remote wilderness areas can still hold experiences that challenge our understanding and inspire primal fear in even the most experienced outdoor enthusiasts. As long as climbers venture onto the misty plateau of Ben Macdui, the legend of Am Fear Liath Mòr will continue to haunt the Scottish Highlands, inviting both rational investigation and imaginative speculation about what might exist in the lonely places of our world.